So in here we've got a new watch from Casio, and it's one I just had to buy because I thought it looked pretty darn good. I found this one while creating the newsletter the other week. I'm going to open it up and we'll take a look at it together. And this one I had to buy from H. Samuel because this particular color, which I think was the best one, it sold out immediately basically everywhere. So I'll try and link the watch in the description. I have bought this with my own money from H. Samuel, but it does come in 2 other colors as well, which I'll talk about in a moment. So, unusual little wrapping there. And yes, it's another watch from the Edifice line, which is super popular. They've got some true bargains in this range. It's more a matter of, do you like the logo or not, or does it distract you? While I don't love it, I also don't hate it. The watch that it's attached to, though, looked really cool online. So let's take a closer look. Yeah, this looks really good. Really, really good. So here it is. This is the grey silver version of the EFB-730D, I think the code name is. Yeah, EFB-730D. And it's a quartz chronograph with just a really nice dial. I think this could be the best looking Casio chronograph to date. Now this watch comes in 3 different colors, and the other 2, I think it's like a blue and a black. They also look decent, but it's this silver kind of white one that has really captured the zeitgeist. And I think it is the best looking of the 3. The most distinctive thing about it is this case shape, and it looks a lot like a Zenith chronograph. Not sure exactly which model, but I have seen some of their El Primero chronographs that look a lot like this in terms of shape. The dial is a bit different, but I have to say it is one of the best looking Casio watches I've seen the last few years, without a doubt. Now, I did pay a fair whack for this. I think it was about 140 quid, but it should be available on grey market sites for less than that. So I'll link it on those sites when it's back available in the video description. You can get some of the other colours for 100 quid or even sometimes under £100. Man, that sunburst and the colour combination just looks fantastic. The markers as well, I can't recall if I've seen these particular markers on a Casio watch before, but they're definitely some of the best looking. They're 3D, they've got a bit of intricacy to them, and it's also got a sapphire crystal. Now, it does have a fair amount of text stacked there at the top, but honestly, I don't think it looks bad at all. And unlike a lot of the other Casio watches, the bracelet's really well integrated. It's got this unusual end link here, which perfectly fits. But I think this thing could be a strap monster as well. I look forward to trying this on some other straps. Now, as for whether it'll fit me or not, I doubt it. Even though it is relatively small from the looks of it, I reckon due to that boxy shape, it's probably going to wear a touch too large for me. Widthways, I've got it as about 39.7. Lug to lug, just over 47, and thickness of 11 millimeters. Of course, this one is quartz. Let's test this action. So I've just been messing about with the pushers. It turns out that the pushers operate the bottom center subdial, and the second hand there is just that, a second hand. So unlike some of the other chronographs, that isn't what you're going to be using for timing anything. I have seen this before. It's just a little unconventional. So you'll notice here, if I set off and use this pusher here, it sets off the hand at the bottom center, and then I pause it and reset it. Now, one thing I've never been a massive fan of with lots of the Casio watches and the Edifice watches included in that is the handset. Now, Casio is one of these brands where I wouldn't say they put tons of craft into making their watches, in a sense of they don't ponder over designs. They basically just spam out loads of designs, and then inevitably a few of them hit. You have plenty of choice, but there aren't many lookers. And as such, they reuse a lot of components, this handset included. Now, I've seen this handset with tons of watches, and it's got substantial rear overhang, you can see, which I don't think looks good on 99% of the watches, unfortunately. But they've customized it a little here with like a black line down the center, and I have to say this is one of the rare instances where I think they can get away with this handset. I think the watch would look even better with a cleaner handset with less overhang, don't get me wrong. But I think this one is certainly viable, especially with this color scheme. The bracelet is very much standard fare for these Edifice watches. Now these look like solid links, but they're almost certainly not. I think if you remove a link here, you'll see inside that they're actually like a special type of folded link, but they're not bad. They don't pinch hairs particularly badly or anything like that because the fold is kind of secured inside, and it does have micro adjustments, so I'd say it's definitely usable. But let's take a look at it on the wrist. Now this is the other Casio that I've been wearing actually today. This is the F91WB, like a minimalist version of the F91. I'll chuck that in the description too. I've really been enjoying it. I find myself reaching for it a lot more than the original F91, just a lot more versatile. And here's a look at it on the wrist. Now I haven't adjusted the bracelet yet, but I think this watch looks fantastic, really good. The dial is extremely sharp, and part of that could be the kind of Zenith fanboy in me. And I've never owned a Zenith, but I've always liked the look of Zenith watches, and this certainly has a little bit of that vibe. The case finishing is also pretty good on this watch. It's not the best in the industry, but Edifice has always had some good case finishing, better than the standard Casios. And dare I say, I think this is probably the best Casio release I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. Really, really cool watch. As for the rest of the specs, the back is screw down. And what is it, 10 bar water resistance probably? Yeah, there it is, 10 bar it says on the back. So that should have you covered in most scenarios. And I just turned the camera off and realized I forgot luminescence. And it seems to have reasonable lume, at least from what I saw just then. Lume has always been a bit of a weakness of Casio compared to some of the other options, especially the Chinese options. Initial brightness is good, and while the lume definitely fades quite a bit, just like some of the other Casios, it's maybe not quite to the same extent. Maybe it's a touch brighter, I would say, which is good news too. Yeah, overall, really, really chuffed with that. Kind of gutted that it doesn't quite fit me, but if I can find it anywhere, I'll link it below. This is a basically brand new release, so it should come back into stock. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who was impressed as me with this? I mean, I think this looks much more expensive